For years, it's felt like there's been this dichotomy to my photography. And one side is, I guess, the commercial side of the business, the latest, greatest, best lenses, being able to cover anything, everything, just being prepared for everything. That's kind of like work life. On the other side, there is the film that I've been shooting. And when I'm in that mode, I usually have one camera, one lens. You're not really prepared for anything. You just go out with an idea. You spend a lot more time looking at your subject, at the light, thinking about where you're going to stand. As the years go by, I've been trying to figure out how to blend those two, because I absolutely need digital, but it's really fun to shoot film. So for the last couple of years maybe, I've been experimenting with some vintage lenses, I guess you would classify them all as, but just manual focus adapted lenses on mirrorless cameras, and that's what today's video is about. I'm out here today with my friend Rosie.
Hi.
We unexpectedly have some nice light, as you can see, so we're going to take some photos before it goes pitch black on us. This video is sponsored by FM7 Presets. They are new presets, and all of the photos we take in this video will be edited with them. They work for any camera, and they work on your phone as well. So we have the Leica summicron 35mm f2. This is our vintage lens. We have the Sigma Art 35 f1.4. This is the modern lens, and I'm just going to show you kind of the difference between the look and feel of, you know, the Sigma being a more kind of clinical, perfect lens, and the old Leica or any old lens being more of a character lens. In this shoot, I'm going to talk about three things that I find to be quite important. Number one, I'll show you how much of an impact the lens has on how your photos look. Half of the filmic look is the lens being used. Number two, that manual focusing a lens isn't difficult. Within a week or two of just messing around with it, you'll find it pretty natural and you'll be pretty fast with it. And number three, the things we've been marketed to think of as limitations are usually things that require more thought from us, which is the thing that actually leads to better photos. I'm gonna just go ahead and get the settings on both cameras about the same. Let's see, looks amazing. We're gonna get closer though. I'm getting this like weird grandma northern accent. We're going to get a little closer. It's happening though. I'm like, dang. I don't know where it's coming from. So usually when people do lens testing things on YouTube, it's kind of the most boring thing on earth, but we have real life person. We're out in the real life outdoors. And this is kind of what I find important when I look at lens reviews. Like, I want to know what it looks like when I shoot something that's actually interesting to me. So both of these lenses are at f2, and I'm just going to take one with each. The Canon 5D Mark II and the Sigma, and the Leica SL2-S and the summicron. I did it. Rosie, you can do whatever you want. Looks pretty perfect. 3, 2. This is going to be a little bit slower. So we're manual focus, but not. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Classic Rosie. I might do actually one more a little bit closer. Let's see. That's perfect. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. And same thing here. 3, 2, 1. Bingo. Okay, so one of the big deals about shooting with these lenses is that I can cover every focal length I would need, and I just put the lens in my pocket. Even if you got jorts on, these guys are gonna go right in. So I've got the 50 right here, I've got the 35, and the 105, which I'm also going to use as a portrait lens, but it's a macro. So we're gonna walk around right now. We kind of have some changing light. It's gonna be getting darker. So what I like to do is just kind of do a 360 and see how the light is gonna look at different angles on my subject and the background behind it. I think right here looks cool. I'm gonna go to the 105. There's that, goes in a pocket. And if you can see Rosie over here, there's that cool light coming in. A little bit of a key light. Yeah, will you look off that way again? That's pretty neat. Maybe a little less. Here, I'm still focusing. All right, and 3, 2, 1. And one more off that way. 2, 1. All right, that's cool. Well, that's pretty neat. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna come a little bit closer. Yeah, the red is pretty perfect. Yeah, right? Can you drop your shoulders? That's perfect. Wonderful. I'm gonna come in. All right, and then look right at the camera. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna take one up close just to show you how nice it is, what a luxury it is to have a macro lens for a portrait lens. Okay, so yeah, just hang out. This is gonna take slightly longer. So this is not like a amazing photo, but just for the folks at home. 3, 2. We can go to the 35. The main difference between this Leica lens, which is a lot more expensive, is that at the maximum aperture, f2, it's going to be a lot better looking. Basically, it's going to be more well corrected, more sharp. But once you get down to f4, f5.6, it's kind of a wash in the difference. Okay, yeah, 35 feels good for this. You're good. All right, in 3, 2, 1. That jacket is just like, my dad has a boat that looks like that jacket, like the stripes and everything.
I love it.
Yeah.
I stole it from my mom. I'm sorry, Mom.
It's another benefit is that when you're thinking about the shot and, you know, spending time to focus and frame everything, you kind of take fewer shots. I used to shoot, you know, just kind of like boom, 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 and that's kind of a nightmare on the computer. So this is another benefit. Why don't we go 50 millimeters? And I'll use this lens to show what I was talking about earlier. We're wide open, a lot of character, a lot of imperfections. Then if you stop it down, you have like a pretty sharp standard lenses. So they kind of have two different feelings to them. Rosie, would you be willing to stand like there? Should you have a stick? Yeah, any stick. You don't necessarily need an autofocus lens or like tracking autofocus to shoot action. Rosie has an idea. Wonderful as it is, it could be a little challenging if you didn't know this trick. So she's going to be running at me, and basically we're going to agree upon an area that when she runs through it, that's when I'm going to start taking the photos. And so I'm going to pre-focus there, and she kind of knows that when she gets in there, she's not going to be like blinking or whatever. So it just takes a little bit of planning, but there are like a ton of workarounds to take you out of that, like I need tracking autofocus and, you know, all of that kind of world. So we're gonna figure this out and do probably a couple takes. That's how it always works with action, and see what we get. Yes. Okay. Okay. Screw that stick. And coming back once again. Can we do one more? Wonderful. And then at me. Okay, so one thing to be cognizant of when you are buying a lens is the minimum focus distance. So I like this M-mount 50 millimeter because the adapter is so small, and so it's kind of something I can just tuck in my jacket. This 50 millimeter lens is super small, it's even smaller, but the adapter is kind of big. Outside of that though, the closest I can focus with this M-mount, because it's built for rangefinders, is 1 meter. It's pretty common on rangefinders to focus to 0.7 meters, but this one's 1. But not so with this guy. This SLR 50 millimeter lens will focus down to 0.45. And I'm just going to show you the difference between 1 meter, you know, and 0.45 meters. It's pretty big. It's a pretty big deal in actuality when you compare the two things together, especially if you're going to be shooting products or things like that. So I'm just going to take a simple portrait of Rosie at the minimum focus distance of each lens. I'll just use like f4 as the aperture on each. Orange looks pretty freaking sick, would be the technical term. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that was the Zeiss. And let's switch over to the Nikkor. Granted, you might not want to take a portrait at this close with 50 millimeters. I mean, you might, but maybe you don't. But if you think about, once again, the like function of shooting a product or something else, You know, a lot of times I will use this 50 millimeter just so I can also, you know, throw like a close focus shot in on a product. So this is gonna be flattering. It's not gonna be flattering. It's not you though, it's the lens. Okay, hold that. Why, thank you. Big difference. So hopefully you found some value in that. Maybe in the, you know, part about the manual focus lenses, maybe in how I like to communicate with subjects, but the goal was to, you know, let you know that a thing that gets marketed to us as a restriction is oftentimes, you know, useful in being able to, you know, help us create better photos. When we have limitations in a box to work inside, that to me, I found has become very valuable. I'm also interested to know how many of you are shooting vintage lenses. What are you shooting? What are you adapting them to? What are you looking at on eBay? I'd like to know in the comments. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you found some value, and if you like this, please subscribe.